Hi, welcome to a new video. This one is about the hands and the forearms, everything that could be overworking, underworking, mostly overworking, when you're working at a computer, too much manual labour, lots of wrangling children. This is all to help you. So first of all, we have a tennis ball as a piece of kit. I'll just put that over there for the moment. I'm just going to get some blood into the hands and the lower arms to start with, so we're going to shake. And everyone feels silly doing this, so just give it a go. Just shake your hands. You can shake them in time. You don't need to shake them like I am. Whatever you want to do, but we're doing it for a whole minute. And this feels, as we say, silly, but you can feel the heat, not just in your hands, but also in the rest of your body, building up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great, so you should feel tingling. That's all the blood and lymph flowing around, so we're just going to tap. So this is also drawing your brain's attention to this part of your body, but we're going to treat it nicely, make it feel better. So the inside of your hand and forearm too, and then swap onto the other side. So light taps, again drawing the blood and lymph to the surface, also getting all those nerves firing that you're going to make them feel longer, less stressed. It's all going to be good. Ready. So now with these hands we're going to link the fingers together and create a little bit of a fist, and we're just going to do some little rolls in the fist. So now they're nice and warm, we're just going to work through the wrist, so you don't have to lean on a table. Leaning on a table restricts your movement a little bit more than if you're off. So it's like a figure of 8. So we're just rolling the wrists. Couple more here, and then we're going to go reverse, which is a brain teaser and a half. We have to work out which way we're going around first, and then try to work the opposite direction, which must feel very unnatural. Great, so we're going to go into individual wrist circles. So here, I'm going to hold on just above my wrist, and I'm going to try and turn my hand all the way around the numbers of a clock without missing any. So 5 circles one way. Trying to go as slowly as possible, really articulating through. Last one here, and then I'm going to reverse, so go inwards. So very tricky to get those last numbers of the clock face as you go around in reverse. Little dip with the hand, and then we swap over. So we restrict the movement slightly, grabbing hold of the wrist so that we're articulating just those wrist bones. A little bit of a finger wave going on here, I can see. The last one here. So you can go much slower than this, you can pause the video, go slower. This wrist is very noisy today. One more, and then stop. So the next one we are going to do is actually to treat the forearms. So we call them the hairy side and the non-hairy side, just to make it very, very clear. So first of all, we're going to treat the non-hairy side. So that's the palm side of your forearm. We're going to grab the tennis ball, place it on a surface. This one is quite squishy, it's my massage couch, but you can use a desk. I'm going to place the ball just behind my wrist, and I'm going to roll my arm all the way up to the elbow and all the way down to the wrist. So I'm not putting any pressure on at the moment, I am trying to relax the hand. Just again, feeling or tuning into how those tissues feel. So up and down, and then you can add a little bit more weight, so you can rest your opposite hand on top and take some more time and feel all those sensations. Does it feel tighter more on the outside, so of your ulnar bone, or does it feel tighter on the inside, your radius bone? Does it feel tighter by your elbow or tighter by your wrist? So the last couple of ones here, so you're going to find one of those little tension spots, so work out where it is. I have one right in the centre there. What I'm going to do is tense my fingers and try to flex my wrist as much as possible, and then relax it down, so moving through. And you can feel the tissues over the ball moving, stretching. an added dimension of movement here. Works a great deal to release all the stress and tension in those muscles and fascia. And then we're going to go on to the other side, so we're not doing the other side, the hairy side of the arm yet. So again, just behind the wrist to start with, relaxing the hand over, relax the elbow over, and just roll whichever speed you feel suits you at the moment. So this might not be your trouble area, the inside, the non-hairy side of your forearm, but it is best if you want to really improve mobility and awareness and how the whole of the hand, wrist, forearm feels, to treat everything, the whole lot of it. So when you want to add a bit more weight, place the hand over the top, and you can lean a little bit more into it if your body so desires. So up and down, going along that ulna, the outside, and going along the radius, the inside. Which one is tighter for you? So when you're ready, find a little tension spot. See if it's in the same place as the other arm. It might not be, depending on which side is dominant. So I have one right here for me. So I'm going to relax the hand down, and then I'm going to flex that wrist, extend it all the way up, and relax it down. And be aware of those tissues and how they feel moving over the ball. So again, just a few of these. You can build up tolerance, do one really slowly. If it's very tender, do 5 or 6 reasonably quickly if it's not so tender, and move on. So now we get to the hairy side. This is where most people's issues with forearms get along. So we're going to do the same, start at the wrist, but the palm this time is face up to the ceiling, so we have the hairy side down on the tennis ball. And again, I'm going to roll up and down on that tennis ball, all the way from the wrist to the elbow. Same. This is all the same, but with the palm up, so you're treating the outside of the forearm. So taking your time, don't have to go the same speed as me. So I'm trying to find the top bone, the radius, and work along there. I'm trying to find the bottom bone, the little finger side, the ulna. And then I'm going to lean into the ball a little bit more, add that extra weight, the extra dimension of gravity and pressure into those muscles to give them a good stretch. Now most people find that it's up by the elbow where the most amount of stress and tension is in these muscles. Lateral epicondylitis, the tennis elbow kind of sensations. So when you found your tender bit, mine is definitely in the usual spot. So you're going to relax the fingers down towards the bed and then flex the fingers back towards your elbow. So moving through. So again, you can still press your body weight into that ball while moving those muscles. Just a few more, and then we swap onto the other side. So this, even though it takes lots of time, it feels amazing to do this, and something so simple, just a ball up and down the forearm, really investigating all those bits and pieces. So if you have any issues with blood flow, Raynaud's, carpal tunnel, where the nerve is caught, start of arthritis in your finger joints, thumb joint, these can all help to relieve some of the symptoms, so all that lack of mobility in the surrounding tissues. And when you're ready, find that radius, the thumb side, and then find the little finger side, the ulna. So moving all the time, and then add a little bit of pressure in if you want to lean into the ball. Just get it moving all the way around. So again, now trying to find your tender spot. Mine's not symmetrical. I was clearly massaging one-handed last night. So I found my tender spot, and here I'm going to relax the fingers down to start with, and then flex those fingers back towards your elbow. So moving through, being aware of how those muscles move in contact with the tennis ball, giving that extra little 3-dimensional stretch. Just a couple more. and then coming off. Fab. So this next little bit is about the articulation of the hands and fingers. So if you put your hands together with your elbows reasonably close together, so what we're going to do is try and move the elbows apart, keep the wrists together for as long as possible, and go into a stretch of the wrist. So you feel the stretch around the palm and the unhairy side of the forearm, and then come back up and bring the elbows back together. So just a gentle, slow, trying to keep the wrists together in place. So just stretching out all of the tissues that we've just massaged. One more time, see if you can go a little bit further. Really press the heel of the hands in together, and then turn the back of the hands together. So this one's a little bit more tricky, and we're going to go up this time. So you have to start with your elbows quite wide apart, the backs of your palms together. This might be tricky as even a starting position for some people if it's very tight. We have another stretch to work on this. So the backs of the hands together, the wrists as close together, and we're going to try and lift those wrists up towards your chin without separating them, and back down again. So this is more of a test of how articulate these wrists are at the moment. The wrists definitely want to separate. How flexed can those hands be? Great, and now give them a little shake off. So we're going to work through into the palms and the backs of the hands with some little finger stretches now. So these ones, I like to start with the arms straight, so we get a stretch also continuing up the forearm. So if this is too much, do bring your elbow in to your ribs. So we're going to start with the palm facing out, and I'm going to hold onto the little finger and very gently pull it back towards your rib cage. A nice deep breath here, feeling the stretch down that little finger, the little finger side of the palm, and maybe into the wrist too, and gently letting go. Moving on to the next finger, so the ring finger, pulling it back towards your rib cage. Again, you can just have your elbow down if this is too much of a stretch through your forearm. Make sure you do a deep breath. And then moving on, so the middle finger, pull it back. Can you feel that stretch down the finger, the inside of the finger, the palm, the wrist, the forearm, and onto the index finger. So the index finger back towards your rib cage, deep breath. And then letting go. So the thumb is a little different. The thumb, you have to pull it out to the, more to the side. Don't know if you can see that there, it's a little bit complicated with the colours. So I'm pulling it out to the side. So I'm still feeling the stretch down the inside of the thumb, the palm, a little bit into the wrist, and breathing. And then coming on to the other hand. So again, arm out straight, little finger, palm out, little finger back towards your rib cage. Deep breath. Moving on to the ring finger. Just notice right and left how different they feel. For me, what I usually find is the less dominant hand, that's the one that feels the stiffest because you use it less. It's less articulate. Continuing to breathe throughout, not holding the breath, moving through to the middle finger. Deep breath. And the index finger. And then onto the thumb. So from underneath, grab hold of the inside of that thumb and pull it out towards the side. Deep breath. Fab. So we're going to do the same the opposite way round. So this one is the back of my hand down towards the floor. So I'm going to start with the thumb, just hanging down here. I'm going to pull that back towards my forearm. This is like a hypermobility test. I'm close, but no cigar. So stretching through the top of that hand into the thumb. Moving on to the index finger. So I'm really flexed in the wrist, and that gives me the stretch, not just up the finger, but up the back of the hand and into the top, the hairy side of the forearm. Middle finger, moving through. Deep breath. ring finger. So pulling the finger in towards the forearm, flexing the wrist, feeling the stretch up the forearm, the back of the hand. Little finger, last one on this side. Pulling it in as far as you can go with still flexing the hand and letting go. So other side. So this one is the back of the hand. Thumb comes back towards the forearm. Deep breath. So feeling a stretch round the thumb joint and the wrist joint, really lateral. And then moving on to the index finger coming in towards the forearm, pulling the palm in towards the forearm too. Deep breath. Moving on, middle finger. Concentrating on those deep breaths. And again, moving on to that ring finger, pulling it all the way in. And last one, little finger, pulling it all the way in, flexing at the wrist, deep breath, and letting go. Give your hands a little wiggle around. They might feel very different already. So this next one is called a gorilla stretch. Now this is a very tricky stretch to do. It's very challenging, but it very much highlights how little movement you have on the outside, the hairy side of your forearm and your wrist and your fingers. So to start with, we're going to make a fist. So really roll your fingers in towards your palms and curl the thumbs around. So from here, I'll stand up so it'll cut my head off just for a second. I'm going to put my fist together, so the knuckles are knitted together. I'm going to place it down on a surface, your table, your bed, whichever one you're choosing. And from here, I'm going to push those knuckles really strongly together and try to keep that thumb intact, in place, holding those fingers down. And I'm going to try and straighten my arms up, so my body comes up above. So for some reason, this one, my left, it's very easy to do. My right is a big challenge. You may not come even a quarter of the way up. This might be as far as you can get up, but as long as you're doing it very correctly, you'll make progress on stretching through the backs of the hands, the wrists, and the forearms. So you can also do this one at a time. So my right is the one that's least flexible because I probably use it much more. So the back of my hand on the bed, fingers wrapped, thumb wrapped around the fingers, and then coming up. So I can hold the hand down on the couch if I wanted to, and really trying to stretch up while the hand is pressing down into the surface. And then try again, both hands together. So as usual, taking your own time, whichever one you feel comfortable with. And then come off. So just have a little shake once more. So the last little bit in this puzzle is we're going to do some loaded rocks. So loaded means using your body weight, rocking, we're moving in and out of a stretch, and we're going to stretch the inside of the hand and palm and fingers, as well as the hairy side of the hand and fingers. So first of all, I'll go this way. So I'm going to start, let's start this way. So let's start with the fingers facing ahead of you, hands underneath your shoulders. So if this is already too much for your wrists, then come back. So put the hands further away from you. And we're going to rock as far forward and as far back as you can, so articulating through those wrists. So the further forward you can go, obviously the more flexy your wrists are. So forward and back. And then we're going to change it up. So we're going to put the fingers, turn them all the way around to the outside, and put them on the surface, facing back towards your body. So already this is a stretch through my right forearm. So what I'm going to do, rather than moving my body further away, which brings it into more stretch, I'm going to move my hands much closer towards my thighs. So from here, the stretch will be moving backwards away from the wrist. So trying to keep the heels of the hands in contact with the surface of the table for as long as you can. So really holding, moving through those stretch positions. Last one here. And coming back off. So the next one is tucking the backs of the hands down onto the bed. So again, this one, if we step back, it brings us into a stretch. So if it's really not very flexible or very sore, bring your fingers much closer towards your body, and then we can rock back to stretch through the tops of the forearms, the backs of the hands and the wrists. So easing through, just 2 more, and then we're all done. So great for desk workers, definitely. All of this mobility around the fingers, the wrists and the forearms. Last one, I've done a couple extra there, and then give them a little shake again. They should feel warm, mobile. Give a couple of movements, just shake it out, have a nice drink of water, and we're all done for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.